It is June 11th, and my question for you today is there any better time of year than now to talk hockey? The answer, yeah, probably. There's probably better times to talk hockey, but we are very excited today because it is time for the 2024 SJHL Draft Show. Every year, this is a very exciting thing for us to be a part of. We are excited to bring you coverage today of our future SJHL stars and prospects as we bring you the coverage of both our 2009 birth year draft as well as the first two rounds of the 2008 birth year draft. But before we get into all of that, we have a lot to talk about, and we want to thank our sponsor, of course, UPL Canada. As you can see behind me, UPL is a massive sponsor of the SJHL. They sponsored all of our broadcasts throughout the year, our playoffs entirely, and now the draft show as well, among other stuff as well. UPL is fantastic, and we love having them a part of our team, as well as IKS Media, where we are sitting today in the IKS Media studios. So we want to thank everybody behind the scenes today and everywhere around the SJHL for the excitement that is today. And speaking of excitement, Jamie Neugebauer is beside me. Jamie, welcome obviously to the show. Thank you for being here. How excited are you for the SJHL draft this year?
Yeah, I love the draft. If you know me at all, you know I like to try to stay up to date on who the current and future players are of the league. So there's no better place to do that than right here, right now. It's been a real treat to be part of the draft the last number of years, and hope you've all enjoyed it over the last number of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I will say before we get into the nitty-gritty and talk about some of the stuff that happened this past season and look ahead to what's going on today in the draft, if you're watching on Facebook, please give us a like and please hit the share button. The more you share, the bigger this thing gets, and we want to give these kids as much coverage as possible, so please hit that share button. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and if you're a parent of a kid who's about to get drafted, you're going to want to subscribe now. Because now's the time. The highlights are here. Everything we do is on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that share button. If you're on Twitter, hit the retweet button. As I can say, the more you guys share, the bigger it gets for us, and we want to give these kids as much coverage as possible. So Jamie, before we get into the future of this league, let's look at the most recent past of this league. If we can have a look back at what just happened this past season. As you can see, this is the playoff bracket from the past year. Again, L'Orange, Notre Dame, Nipawin, and oh shoot, Jamie, I'm Yorkton. They didn't make the playoffs this year, but these 8 teams did make the playoffs, and boy, did they give us a fun playoff run. Of course, as you can see, as it trickled down, Flin Flon beat Kindersley, Battlefords beat Melville, Melfort beat Estevan, Humboldt beat Weyburn. Those 4 teams battled it out, which resulted in Flin Flon playing an unbelievable series against the eventual champions of the Cantera Seeds Cup, the Melfort Mustangs. And Jamie, we haven't had a broadcast since basically this. So can you kind of break down a quick little recap of kind of the Melfort Mustangs at the Centennial Cup?
Yeah, so the Centennial Cup in Oakville, Ontario. I was there for a lot of it. Obviously, Commissioner Kyle was there for all of it. And the Melfort Mustangs did great. They did really, really well against the best that the CJHL has to offer. Lost only 1-0 in an epic goalie duel in the final against the Collingwood Blues of the Ontario Junior Hockey League. James Venn went toe-to-toe with the Yale-committed Noah Pack, a kid that NHL teams have their eyes on, and James Venn was just as good, if not better than him in that game, and he really opened a lot of eyes, and he's an 0-4, so you could theoretically come back to the SJ this year, James Venn. But man, the Mustangs did great, beat the Calgary Canucks, of course, the AJ champions in the semifinal as well. Did really, really well. And so I know I was encouraged, and I know Commissioner Kyle and every SJHL fan that paid attention was encouraged by how well our league did against the best that Canada has to offer.
Yeah, we love to see it. Congrats, Melfort, once again for an unbelievable season, and we look forward to potentially another run from them next year, but we'll get to that at another time.
Yeah.
Right now, we do have some questions coming in on our YouTube channel. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, please feel free to give us a comment. We might be able to have some time to throw them up on the screen. I'm just giving that warning to our director, Jordan, graphics director in the back. No rush for that. We don't need them right now, but there are some questions. These are 08s, right? Well, let's have a look at our draft format, if that's cool, and we'll just go over what this draft is going to be. So we are actually going to be starting with 2 rounds of 2009 birth year players. So this isn't your typical draft. This does include 2 different age groups this year as well. As this happened last year as well, and we'll get into that in a sec. So there are 2 rounds first off. We're going to do 2 rounds first of 2009 birth year players, and then 6 consequent rounds of 2008 birth year players. Now, there were 2 rounds last year. We'll get into that in a sec. But Jamie, who's eligible for these 2 rounds this year?
So first of all, they have to be Saskatchewan residents. They have to be from outside of the 12 markets. So they're not auto-protected by those markets. They have to be undrafted by any SJ team previously. How could they be drafted, you say? Well, as you said, there we had 2 rounds of 08s already drafted last year, so they can't be drafted already. Players are expected to be selected from the Saskatchewan provincial leagues, U18, AAA, AA, and the 2 U15 leagues, as well as the CSSHL, which continues to grow in stature. And the draft order it started pending trades will be determined by the regular season standings from last year. Now, that being said, lots of trades have happened.
Lots of trades. We'll get into that in a sec. But let's have a look at what the draft order does sit at as we speak right now. There shouldn't be any changes, I don't think, before we start this draft. This is, of course, the first round of the 2009 birth year draft. So again, this is going to be what you see first. This is what we're covering first. Larange has pick 1 and pick 2. Yorkton, Nipawin, followed by Kindersley, Melfort. Melville then has a bit of a run. Melville has 2 picks. Battleford has number 9, Humboldt with 10, Melville again at 11, and then Flin Flon at 12. So that's how the first round of the 2009 draft year is going to be breaking down. If we can have a look now at what the fans can see if they go over to sjhl.ca, you can actually follow along live as this draft happens. This is the official sheet that the guys in the other room are using for the official draft. So you can follow along. As you can see, the second round looks different than the first round. Notre Dame did have the first overall pick. They have traded it. Then, of course, Estevan traded their first-round pick. Weyburn traded theirs. Melfort traded theirs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So go follow along over at sjhl.ca as this is going on, and you can be right with us in terms of live coverage. You're right there with us. There have been some really, really impactful players from this SJHL draft in past years, Nugsy. Let's have a look at some notable picks from past years, and maybe you can break down a few of them.
Yeah, I had to pick just a few for this exercise.
Yeah.
Obviously, I remember broadcasting Brock Evans getting picked third overall, and he basically jumped right into the Kindersley Clippers top 6
Yeah, he's a
group.
special one for sure.
Really good player, and he's going to be great again for Kindersley next year, you'd think. Obviously, the one that jumps out to me is Matthew Perkins, the 4th-round pick of the Vancouver Canucks. Had a great year in the USHL as well, and then had a great year last year with Minnesota Duluth in the NCAA. And obviously, Steve Kesslering, who can forget his playoffs a couple of years ago with the Battlefords North Stars and his Centennial Cup as well, where he really opened a lot of eyeballs, went to Niagara and played there last year, D1 NCAA. One of the more special players the league has seen the last little while. And of course, there's some of the best, but could have included a huge list, to be honest, of guys who have been added to the SJHL through the draft. Yeah,
you put up a post a couple weeks ago of all the picks in the last several years, and there are some big names on that list. So some big name players will be coming from this draft, and it's just a matter of time to see which ones they are. But like we said, there were 2 rounds of 2008 picks last year. So let's have a look at the 2 rounds from last year just to tell you who cannot be selected today. These players will not come off the board today because they're already off the board. From the first round last year, Nugsy, who stands out for you?
Well, I think for me, Barrett Berger there from the Nipawin Hawks had a really nice year with the Saskatoon Contacts. Played 2 games as an 08 already as a defenseman for the Nipawin Hawks as they dealt with some injuries and different things going on with their season. So, Barrett Berger looks like a guy who's ready to step in. Also another Tri-City Americans prospect. They seem to have a lot of good ones coming up through the pipeline in the Western League level. But Barrett Berger is one. I know Ethan Dundas has transferred from Notre Dame to the Regina Pack Canadians, but he stays in Brett Pilkington's plans. I know that too. Lots and lots of talented guys on this list as well.
And there was a second round as well, so let's just have a quick look at the second round. And there are a couple of names on here that also stand out for you as well.
Yeah, Sutton Verreau is the first one that jumps out to me. I know Cody Mapes is really, really high on that young man. He's a kid that played again Notre Dame U18 AAA, grew a lot under Jack Flamin there last year with the Hounds AAAs. He's gonna go right to the Weyburn Red Wings and do a great job. He was also called up for a game and played really well. Ryan Gibbs really opened up a lot of eyes too there for Weyburn. So they got a lot of prospects in the pipeline, just Cody Mapes, and some good players. And the last one quickly, Kai Bridgman, of course, his big brother Colton. What a wonderful year he had for the Regina Pats.
Yes.
I know both Colton and Kai are in the Flin Flon system in the pipeline if it works out that way. So, I know Mike Reagan would be happy to get the Bridgman boys because they're 2 very special talents on the back end.
Yeah, for sure. We have our first viewer comment of the day, and it comes from our assistant graphics director today, Stephen Turner. He says, Clark, where do you get your haircut? And this is just a free little shameless plug for one of our coworkers here at IKS. It's The Room Regina. Shout out to The Room. It's in the Cathedral area. So there you go, Ryan. I'll take my $20 after the show. Players to watch this year. There are some big names that we expect to be selected in this year's draft. So this is starting with the 2009 birth years here, Nugsy. There are 6 names. We only have a couple minutes here before the picks start flying, so if you want to maybe rifle through these names here.
Yeah, I'll just be real quick. Obviously, Hunter Willem was a great captain for that Swift Current. Broncos U15s, I should say. Really, really well-rounded and mature kid, and obviously the Vedras last name should be familiar to people who have been following the SJHL draft. His brother Rhett was the first overall pick a couple of years ago for Weyburn and really stepped into that Weyburn decor and played really well last year. Adam Montaigne, was there a better goaltender in Sask U15 hockey last year? Probably not. I know the Spokane Chiefs are really high on him too. But again, if you're looking for a goalie, Adam Montaigne might be a piece for you.
Yeah, how about the 2008s? There are a few names there that you want to mention as well.
Yeah, just really quickly here, Carter Wingert's a name that's a guy who's really physically mature, might jump in right away, or really mature quick. Pick to pick up and bring into your lineup. And then will Wade Franks be drafted? I know he's already signed in the Western Hockey League. He is the best, in my opinion, defenseman probably available in this draft, Wade Franks. So, again, really, really mature. Jackson Dunn really carried a lot of the load for the Tisdale Trojans U18s despite his young age. And Charlie Kay, another championship for the Saskatoon River Kings, U18 AA. He's going to be a really well-rounded player as well.
There you go. So there are some names to watch, and we do have names coming off the board already. So without any further ado, we will start. Let's start breaking down these picks. Now, before we get into the first overall pick of the 2009 draft, I just want to say, Nugsy, and I think you'll agree with me, if you get drafted today, this is the start. This isn't the end. This is the start of your journey. There is a lot of hard work ahead. If you do not hear your name today, man, have we seen some amazing undrafted players in this league and throughout junior hockey. So it is not the end of the road if your name does not get called today. However, let's get to it now with the first overall pick in the 2009 birth year draft class of the SJHL Draft. The LaRange Ice Wolves have selected Declan Borthwick, forward from Prince Albert. Nugsy, what can you tell me about Declan Borthwick?
Yeah, obviously there's a connection there. His family was in LaRange for a long time, so it's a situation where Kaminsky and his staff already know the Borthwick family and probably know Declan. He's a really well-rounded kid and going to work hard for Kevin Kaminsky. Again, familiarity. His family moved to Prince Albert. Had a good year in Prince Albert Bantams or U15s. And so obviously first guy off the board, and I know Kevin Kaminsky's thrilled to be able to grab him.
Absolutely. So exciting times here for the Borthwick family, and congratulations to Declan on being the first overall pick. The LaRange Ice Wolves are back on the clock. They have the second overall pick as well, and they have made their selection. So for the second overall pick in the 2009, I got to figure out how the wording of this. The 2009 SJHL Draft in the year 2024. Is Merrick McIver from Davidson. Merrick McIver, congratulations, Merrick, a defenseman.
Yeah.
Nugsy, what can you tell me about Merrick McIver?
Yeah, you say he's from Davidson. He played for the Humboldt Broncos U15s, who are really churning out the talent. Obviously, Dane Boyker and Beckett Hamilton. Their names won't be called today. They're going to be future NHL draft prospects. Some of these guys might be as well, of course. But Merrick McIver, he's a smooth skating offensive defenseman. He's a kid that had a huge year. The Kelowna Rockets are also really high on him. He's going to play for the Moose Jaw Warriors AAA U18s next year, which is a great system under Trevor Weisgarber, of course. And so a forward and a D-man off the board to LaRange and 09s as they continue to build, and two really, really talented players to start us off here.
That's exciting. Now we move on. The Yorkton Terriers are on the clock, and with the third overall selection in the 2024-2009 SJHL Draft, again, I'll figure out the exact wording of that in a sec, Tyson Metternach from Saskatoon, forward. Nugsy, what can you tell me about Tyson Metternach?
Yeah, so first of all, he's not related to Josh Metternach, the Battleford's North
That was
Star,
my next question.
who just moved on. But yeah, Tyson, Saskatoon kid, again, he's a guy who's, again, really well-rounded, mature. People are looking for maturity, guys who can jump in pretty quickly, put the puck in the net when he gets the opportunity as well. But yeah, good year for him. And Yorkton, under Emery Olafsson, they're really developing kids. Kids are getting better under Emery, and I think that's a great step for Yorkton, and they'll be happy with Mr. Metternach.
Yeah, exactly. Yorkton is on the rise. They have a lot of kids that can return this upcoming season, so keep an eye on the Yorkton Terriers as we go ahead. But that's for the season preview show coming later this summer. Just another little shameless plug. The fourth overall selection in the 2009 birth class, Again, I'm just going to change it up every single time I say it because there's a lot of different lingo here that we can put on. The Nipawin Hawks have selected Carson Park from Pilot Butte. What can you tell me about Carson Park?
Yeah, he's so just like a bunch of these kids, they're going to have to decide between the college route and the major junior route. He's a Brandon Wheat Kings prospect as well, had a really nice season. He's going to go to the Moose Jaw Warriors as well. He's got a lot of energy and some skill, but if you're going to play, in Tad Cozen's system, you got to skate. That's what we've talked about every year with the Nipawin Hawks, is that they've got a bunch of guys who can fly. And Carson Park fits right in. He's got to get physically a lot stronger, like a lot of these kids are. He's kind of on the smaller side, but again, it doesn't bother him. He plays big. He plays with a lot of energy and speed. And he's got some skill, he's got some finish to him. So, again, Nipawin, it's a project, but he's a skillful one. And Brandon Wheat Kings will be watching close. 5th rounder, so he's not even down the list there for Brandon.
For sure. As we move along here, the Kindersley Clippers are now on the clock and will make their selection here with the 5th overall selection in the 2009 birth class draft. Hudson Sayers from the powerhouse hub of Edam, Saskatchewan. There's a ton of kids that come out of that area. Nugsy, what can you tell me about Hudson Sayers?
Yeah, it's Portland Winterhawks prospect as well. Should mention, maybe I should stop mentioning where guys are drafted in the Western Hockey League. But again, another kid going to Moose Jaw. Yeah. So the Moose Jaw Warriors AAA are going to be loading up on these kids, and they'll be, around there. He's a smaller guy, but in this day and age, you think about defensemen that aren't that big, still get the job done, in this day and age. And Hudson is one of those guys. Again, the guy needs to grow just a little bit, but he's got, great skill, great offensive ability, great vision. And he played at NAX, Northern Alberta Extreme, up there in Alberta, and that is a great program. So again, he's coming from a good place where the expectations and the standards are very high, and so that's what they're getting.
Now, one thing that me personally, in our schedule and scripting for today is we have a special correspondent that has given us some videos and stuff for this draft, and we're very excited now as the Melfort Mustangs are on the clock. We're going to go to our good friend, and sorry for throwing this at you here, Bryce. We're going to the Melfort Mustangs, Rory McGouran, our good friend Rory, has given us a little pre-video for the Melfort Mustangs selection. Go ahead, Rory.
The Melfort Mustangs, the newly crowned SJHL champions, congratulations, and the national champion runner-ups. Well, now a year after the 2023 SJHL draft, it's a team that many think may have won that draft. And it's because of the standout APs that they've had into their roster this year. Guys like Jackson Carrick and Teo Flory helped the Melfort Mustangs when they're having some injury problems and even into the playoffs. You could pair them this next season as they make their first full year as Melfort Mustangs with 2022 standouts Owen Nelson and Scott McLean. They've even had NCAA Division I committed draft like Riley Ash. It's now a team that's a yearly championship perennial contender with an overstocked cupboard full of prospects. That's a scary thing for all other SJHL 11 opponents.
So with the 6th overall selection now in the 2009 birth class, the Melfort Mustangs have selected Tristan Hansen from Canistino, forward from Canistino. Can you tell me about Tristan?
Yeah, Northeast kid, Tisdale Trojans is where he's heading. Hardworking kid. It's Tristan Hansen. Sorry for the spelling mistake there.
Kyle.
To his family there. But Tristan Hansen, hardworking kid, good size as well. If you're to play for Trevor Blevins, job one is effort. He always talks about effort. And that took them to the championship. So fair enough. And he fits right in. He's physical. He's hard-nosed. And they're going to love him in Tisdale, West Rudy there. He's building a good prospect stream out of the Tisdale Trojans now. Former Weyburn Red Wings coach too. And so he'll go there and learn and work hard and get ready. And we saw Trevor Blevins use a bunch of U18 call-ups this past year. So he's got to feel good about the opportunity to play a few games maybe for Melfort real soon.
Well, congratulations, Tristan. We look forward to seeing you in the SJHL soon. Now, the Melville Millionaires have a bit of a run on picks in the next, I'm going to say 5 or 6 picks here. So let's go now back to Rory McGouran for the Melville Millionaires preview.
The Melville Millionaires, with the first overall selection last year in the 2023 SJHL Draft, stepped up to the podium and selected Preston Bearwald. Bearwald, in no doubt, is going to be a prominent SJHL player, but it was other youngsters that helped Doug Johnson and the Melville Millionaires snap the longest playoff SJHL drought. Melville went from worst to first in the Viterra division, claiming the division championship, and for the Saskatchewan rookies, it was Cole Keane, a 2022 Melville second-round pick, leading the way with a sensational rookie season. Melville also was busy in the trade department acquiring Cohen Swan, a Melfort Mustangs second-round 2006 birth year defenseman who made an immediate impact playing just about 50 games. Melville only had one pick in the 2008 portion last year. They have 4 more in the 2008 portion this year to try and add and join that fan base that has all their passion and belief back in Melville.
Beautiful. And now with their 7th overall selection, the Melville Millionaires have selected Nathan Gardner from Gainsborough. He's a forward. Newsy, what can you tell me about Nathan Gardner?
Yeah, I don't know. This might make Jason Tatarnic upset, the Estevan Bruins coach, because Nathan Gardner's an Estevan Bruins AA kid that just dominated this season, and well over point per game, dominated offensively. Calgary Hitman took him in the 6th round too. Just electric skill. He's going to play for the Patsies this year as well, and I know he's really on the radar too of Brett Pilkington for the 09s team, Saskatchewan team for the WHL Cup as well. So a guy who's high octane, speed, needs to grow a little bit, plays hard, but yeah, maybe he's one that Jason Tatarnic probably would have hoped. But there you go. Doug Johnson gets one over on his old pal there.
Doug slips in and grabs them. Now let's go back to the Melville Millionaires for the 8th overall pick. They have back-to-back picks here. Hudson Postnikoff from Saskatoon, and I'm pretty sure I nailed that name. He's a forward, Nugsy Hudson Postnikoff.
Yeah, his big brother Jace is a Notre Dame prospect. Defenseman Hudson is a forward. This is another kid that is a Brendan Wheat Kings prospect. He's going to go to the Saskatoon Contacts. He's got good size already. He's pretty physically mature. He's a 5'11", 170-pound around kid. He's really defensively responsible. So he went, Doug Johnson went for an electric offensive kid in Gardner, and then kind of a two-way, defensive first maybe kid in Postnikoff out of the Saskatoon Outlaws here in this pick. But yeah, obviously good family there with the Postnikoffs, and Doug Johnson again making 2 really bold but good picks. Postnikoff, as I mentioned, lots of eyes on him this past year, and going to be a big time piece for the Contact.
There we go. Congrats, Hudson. We're moving on now to the 9th overall selection in this 2009 portion, and we're going to go back to Rory McGouran for the Battleford's North Stars preview.
The Battleford's North Stars, one of the marquee drafting teams over the past half-decade and longer, pairing high-quality draft picks with hometown protected phenoms and savvy swing deals. It's been a combination that's made the Battleford's North Stars perennial championship contenders. Last year, it was the Kerwin brothers, both Sam and Will, taken in the 1st round for Braden Klamosko, Gary Childerhose, and head scout and assistant GM Wiley Riondo. Years past, though, have brought in names that everyone around the SJHL knows: Holden Dole, Jackson Allen, Steve Kesslering, Riley Giroux, Easton Rask, and most recently, the reigning Rookie of the Year, Carson Olsen, have all been selected by the Battleford's North Stars in the SJHL Draft.
Wonderful. And for the 9th overall pick in the 2009 portion of this draft, the Battleford's North Stars have selected Miller Anderson, another Saskatoon product, another forward. What can you tell me, Nugsy?
Yeah, 2 points per game. He's already 6 foot. Not bad for Saskatoon. Obviously not that far away from Battleford, so they can keep a close eye on him. He's going to go to the Contacts, stay right at home with his family. He's also a Saskatoon Blades prospect, so again, there's lots of that connection there, and see what happens. But big, strong kid, 2A guy, played defense as well. We're seeing like really the mature 09s go first. A couple of shots so far, but really looking for the physically mature guys to start off here, and that's what they're getting from Miller Anderson. He was also on one of my guys to watch, I think, from the 09s. So
well, there you go.
Off the list.
Nostradamus Nugsy over here. We're going to move on now to the 10th overall selection. The Humboldt Broncos, you are on the clock. And with the Humboldt Broncos on the clock, let's go to the voice of the Humboldt Broncos, Rory McGouran, for the preview.
The Humboldt Broncos, they bring them in early and they develop them fast. Names like Carter McNarland, Matthew Perkins, Matthew Van Blaircom, Connor Miller, and Karsten Cater have all had their names called by the Humboldt Broncos staff and have all secured NCAA Division I commitments. Now it'll be drafted forwards recently like Tice Penrod and Rylan Hugh, or defensemen such as Tegan Semchishin and Simon Garchinsky looking to make the jump and become that next crew of Humboldt Bronco impact rookies. And as we start the 2024 SJHL Draft with 6 rounds of 2008 birth year players, the Humboldt Broncos will have a head start as they made 4 selections of 2008 birth year players last year, the most out of any SJHL team.
Now with the 10th overall selection of this year's 2009 portion, I think there's a family connection with this one, Nugsy. Tatum Fouquet from Prince Albert, defenseman. Now, Nugsy, is this not the younger brother of?
Trey Fouquet. Yeah.
Trey, yes. So go ahead, Nugsy.
Yeah, 5th round pick as well, the Prince George Cougars, but the Humboldt Broncos, they have experience with attracting kids. Obviously, they've done a great job, Scott Barney, developing kids. This is a strong skating offensive D-man. He's got a big shot, huge shot. That's the biggest thing about him. He's a PA U15 kid, but he's decided to go to the Blazers. When the Saskatoon Blazers call, it's probably a little bit difficult to say no because they're the kind of one of the flash teams for sure, AAA. But he's already 6 foot, as I said, at this age, and I know Scott Barney's going to keep a close eye on him just down the road there in Saskatoon.
Yeah, absolutely. These picks are flying in now, so let's keep it going. The Melville Millionaires, they've already made 2 selections in this first round. They have their third selection now in this round. So with the 11th overall selection in this 2009 portion, they have selected, I'm going to say it right, Casey Gleam.
Yeah, Casey Gleam.
From Chaplin.
Yeah, there you go. Swift Current, AA kid, another one there. Another really skilled kid, similar to Gardner, really electric offense. The Everett Silvertips have him in the Western Hockey League as a prospect as well. He's going to jump into the Legionnaires, and I think the Legionnaires could use some offense as well because that was kind of their bugaboo. They had incredible goaltending, and they were hard to play against, but they had a hard time occasionally putting the puck in the net. And so the Legionnaires are going to enjoy that. And then, so good draft pick there for Doug. And again, really like the Melville draft so far.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, when you get 3 picks in the first round, you hope that you like the draft.
Good point.
Let's move on to the 12th overall selection. This is the final selection in the first round of this birth class. We're going to go to the, what a legendary season these guys had, the Flin Flon Bombers. And let's go to Rory McGouran now to hear about the Flin Flon Bombers.
Yet again, it was so close to that elusive championship for the Flin Flon Bombers in 2024. Although going back to the 2023 draft, they made a huge splash, trading all the way up to 4th overall to select Leo Seitz, who after putting up a point per game with the Rink Hockey Academy this past year, just 2 weeks ago signed with the Flin Flon Bombers to compete in the 2024-2025 season. At the end of the draft, they ended up, though, with a cupboard full of prospects, taking 9 players in total last year. Going into years past, it's been Kylan Olofsson, Cole Tanchuk, who seem like they've been on the Bombers for 10 years, but they'll be 20 in 2024-2025 as Flin Flon once again tries to get into the finals, get over that hump, and win an SJHL championship.
All right, so with the 12th overall selection now in this 2009 birth class portion of this 2024 SJHL draft, the Flin Flon Bombers have selected Staden Peranto from Prince Albert. He's a defenseman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's a kid that Mike Reagan would be pretty, what's the word? Patient with. Patient with. He's a kid that really needs to grow. We talk about, modern defensemen being small. He is quite small. But again, he's only 14, so we'll give him time. Absolutely, but he's a very high IQ, hockey sense kid. He's never out of position. He never makes a mistake. So if you're not out of position, you don't need to be as big and strong because you could just use your stick and use your intelligence. And he's a very smart kid. That's the first thing that jumps out when I watch him. And he's going to be part of a really good program in the PA Mintos that are moving forward. A new era in PA. Tim Leonard, who's there forever, is gone. So he'll be opportunity there after the PA Mintos had such a great veteran team last year. Get some minutes right away and continue to grow. But with his intelligence level, I think he'll be able to jump into AAA hockey and be just fine.
Do you think that he'll eventually turn into a stayed-in-at-home defenseman? Sorry, bad, terrible.
I thought it was my job with the bad puns.
Yeah, sorry. I had to throw one in there. I can't let you have all the fun. We are now into the second round, well into the second round. So let's get moving here. With the first overall selection, which is actually the 13th selection in this draft, let's go now to Rory McGouran for the Weyburn Red Wings preview. Go ahead, Rory.
The Weyburn Red Wings will have a ton of attention at the podium in the 2024 SJHL Draft. After making 7 selections in 2022, including the first overall pick in defenseman Rhett Ventris, the Weyburn Red Wings made 6 more picks in 2023. Well, they're going to make upwards of 11 selections here in 2024. Head coach and GM Cody Mapes is always eager and active to build his roster through movement and draft picks. Numerous numerous names have come through the Red Wings draft in years past. McKellen Couture, Riley Little, Liam McInnes, and Connor McGrath, just to name a few. They've made the playoffs in the past 2 seasons, but have failed to get over that first-round hump. They're really high on 2008 draft pick Sutton Verreau, and we'll see him come into potentially this season or in years in future, along with all that they draft in the 2008 and 2009 portion in the 2024 SJHL Draft.
So with the 13th selection now in the 2009 birth class, we have Ethan Young from Regina, selected by the Wavering Red Wings, a defenseman. What can you tell me about Ethan Young?
Well, first thing is Cody Mapes loves Regina kids. He obviously worked in Regina minor hockey. His new assistant coach, Casey O'Brien, works in Regina hockey. So, lots of familiarity there with the Regina Pat Blues. And why not? Obviously, the Pat Blues were the champions of the AA U15 league, and they were unbelievable. Obviously, the Brandon Wheat Kings have Ethan Young's rights in the Western League. But again, a guy to be patient with, small skill D. And the Wheat Kings traded Logan Hammett, who is another Regina Pat Canadians kid, for the pick that they picked Ethan Young for. So a little bit of a connection there. Obviously, Logan Hammett, a great defenseman with the Pat Canadians, and Ethan Young's going to go to the Pat Canadians. So a little bit of a connection there, but Cody Mapes has a lot of Regina connections, and he loves the Regina kids.
Yeah, I just got word from our official pun judge.
Pun police.
The pun police of IKS Media here, Kelly Lewick, who's upstairs right now. Or actually, he's not. He's actually at home because he has an injury. So he's nursing an injury at home. He said Clark's pun was 3 out of 10. So thanks a lot, Kelly. I really appreciate that. Yep, I'm just going to have to live with that now. But let's move on. The Humboldt Broncos, we've already heard from Rory McGouran about these guys, so let's just go right to it. They have selected with the 14th overall selection in this draft, Jacob Tate from Prince Albert. Jacob Tate, what can you tell me about Jacob Tate?
Yeah, Prince Albert, AA kid. He's going to the Tisdale Trojans. Really, really hardworking kid. I think, he project to be a top 6 player? We'll see. But then again, very, very smart, bottom 6. I think kind of a Braden Skogstad is a kid that I expect to take kind of a big step, next year for Humboldt, and I kind of see some of that in Jacob Tate. And again, not too far down the road in Tisdale for the Trojans there with Wes Rudy, and he'll learn a hard style of hockey that I'm sure Scott Barney will be paying close attention to. Again, really, really good, salt of the earth, mature player, works hard, and Scott Barney's going to like that.
The Yorkton Terriers are back on the clock now for the 15th selection, and with that, let's go to Rory McGouran to hear about the Yorkton Terriers.
The Yorkton Terriers have hit on at least one player in almost every draft going back to 2015. It was Austin Flaman, the first overall pick way back in 2015. Keyshawn Gervais and Tyson Jansen followed him. Leighton Holion, Parker Jasper, and Cale DePape, to name more. It's another team looking to return to the playoffs, and another team that's made serious strides in doing so with first-year bench boss Emery Olausen. The Terriers held on to one pick in every round of last year's draft, taking Kieran Osberg with the 3rd overall pick and Max Thurainen with the 15th overall pick in the 2007 birth year portion of the 2023 SJHL Draft. They then followed it up with Boston Schmidt, and Cash Lanigan in the 2008 birth year of the 2023 Draft. The Terriers have a fan base that helped save the team buying season tickets at large. Now they're looking for some young, youthful players come in and help lead them back to the playoffs in 2024.
And one of those young players that Rory McGouran just mentioned is going to be Lane McKechnie from Lumsden. Lane McKechnie, the forward for the Yorkton Terriers.
Yeah, this is a great story. I know he's going to go play for the Maulers, Yorkton Maulers as well. So again, Emery Ola, similarly with the Olausen partner, you'll get a keep close eye on him. Really, really interesting story. His dad, Evan, is in a real big fight with pancreatic cancer. So our prayers are with the McKechnie family, and so Lane will get to be a prospect of the Terriers. He'll play for the Maulers. Seems like a good fit and a good situation. Had a really good year with the Prairie Storm as well. So really good story, and I'm happy to see that Emery was able to pick him. So,
that's fantastic news, and yes, our thoughts go out to the family as well. Absolutely, let's fight that. Let's move on now to the 16th overall selection. And that is going to be held by the Nipawin Hawks. And we have not heard from Rory about the Nipawin Hawks yet, I don't believe. So let's go now to Rory McGouran.
The Nipawin Hawks had 4 picks in the first 3 rounds of the 2023 SJHL Draft, and already 2 of them are committed. It'll be 6th overall pick Will Witter, making his SJHL debut with the Hawks this season, and 3rd round netminder Corbin Schnurr is the goaltender of the future and maybe already the present. Yes, the Hawks had a tough second half stretch falling out of the playoff race, but it's a fan base that is passionate as any, wanting the Hawks to push back towards the postseason, and they're just about there. In years past, the Hawks have always had great drafts finding gold. Names like the Buchberger family, Jeremy Tremblay, Jackson Weeb, and Liam Bell have all come through the black and yellow draft. 2006 birth year Mason Karkachuk will have to take the next step in his development, joined by the 2007s who are ready to jump, and here this year, the 2008s and the 2009s drafted by the Nipawin Hawks.
And with the 16th overall selection in this 2009 class, the Nipawin Hawks have selected Matt Henkelman of Saskatoon, a defenseman, Nugsy, Matt Henkelman.
Yeah, again, he had some call-ups with the River Kings, again, who won another, AA championship. He's a guy that the Wenatchee Wild have in their prospect pool. He's going to play for the Contacts. He's very much a defensive defenseman first and foremost, even though he put up pretty good numbers, just under a point per game as a defenseman in the U15 league. But again, good size, good maturity, good positioning. With the Generals, again, had a nice year. So, again, a kid that, isn't that far away could jump in relatively soon in an AP situation even because, he's not looking for flash. He's looking to be solid first and foremost. And, I think Tad Cozen's looking for that in his whole organization. So there you go.
There you go. Congratulations to Matt. Let's move on now. The Kindersley Clippers are back on the clock, and we have not heard from Rory about them yet. So let's go to Rory McGouran.
The Kindersley Clippers, under new and returning head coach Clayton Jardine, finally snapped their playoff drought, making the postseason for the first time since 2018-19. Well, the 2nd overall pick of the 2023 SJHL Draft will help to make that a consistent trend, as Jackson Herchak has not only committed to the Clippers for this upcoming season, but also NCAA Division I to Colorado College. It'll be 2nd round pick with local ties Price Thiessen. He could be a rookie to watch this year as well. And let's not forget about 2022 3rd overall pick Brock Evans, who remarkably is a 2006 birth year, has already played 2 full seasons in the SJHL and is 5 games away from his 100th career SJHL game. The Clippers are looking to break the barriers between transition of a rebuilding team and one that's ready to rock in September.
And with the 17th selection in this draft, the Kindersley Clippers have selected Graydon Newmeyer. Graydon Newmeyer from Kerrobert, a forward. What can you tell me about Graydon?
Yeah, so cousins of Michael Newmeyer. I was actually talking to Clayton Jardine about the kid earlier today, the Kindersley Clippers GM. Yeah, really talented, obviously. His cousin is going to Colgate next year. So again, some familiarity with the family. Kerrobert, again, not also that far away from Kindersley, so again, his family can come and watch him, which is great to see. He's going to play for the Battleford AAA Stars, which is, I guess, the closest AAA team to Kerrobert as well. So it all kind of works out for the Newmeyer family, and yeah, guy with some decent size to him already at 5'10", and if he's anything like his big brother, or his cousin, pardon me, even though his cousin's was a D-man, he's gonna have a lot of talent, and so good for Kindersley to keep the family together.
Yeah, you always like to see the family storylines there. Moving on, let's go to the 18th overall selection, and I believe this is Estevan's first selection of the day. And with that in mind, let's go now to Rory McGouran for the Estevan Bruins preview.
The Estevan Bruins. Most recently, it's been Carson Dick as the first name that comes to mind when talking about Bruins draft picks making the most recent impact to the Estevan Bruins roster. He'll look to take the next step in his 2nd SJHL season in 2024-2025. In the past years, though, the Bruins have tons of names. Let's start with Eric Hauk and Cody Davis that helped the Estevan Bruins win the 2022 SJHL championship. Even James Venn, this year's championship goaltender, was a former Estevan Bruins draft pick. They're graduating 8 20-year-olds, so there'll be lots of holes to fill. Estevan was also the least active team last year with only 3 draft picks in total. They started off by taking 07 goaltender Wyatt Bouvier, who just competed in his 2nd season of U18 AAA hockey with the Yorkton Maulers.
So Estevan is going to kick off here a bit of a run of Viterra division teams. And with the 18th overall selection, Joshua Skripnik from Regina. He's a forward. Nugsy was on your watch list earlier this episode of the show. What can you tell me about Joshua Skripnik?
Yeah, more electric offense. The Pat Blues, Regina kid. Again, Red Deer has eyes on him. He's a prospect to there. He's going to play for Swift Current. Little guy, offensive wizard. When he's on the ice, you keep a close eye. Obviously, with the likes of Chase Serkan, et cetera, the Pat Blues were electric. So, they had a lot of good talent, and Skripnik was a piece for sure for them. And he was, around 80 points in 30 games or something around there for the Pat Blues this year. So the guy knows how to put the biscuit in the basket, a goal per game for Skripnik. And, Jason Tatarnic isn't afraid to take a big shot, and Skripnik is a big shot, even though he's not the biggest guy, but lots of talent.
Yeah, let's move on now to the 19th overall pick. Again, we're going back to the Viterra division. It's the Weyburn Red Wings back on the clock, and they have selected from the metropolis of Central Butte, Saskatchewan, hometown of my father. This is Hunter Wilm. Hunter Wilm has been selected by the Weyburn Red Wings forward, Nugsy, from not a son of Clark Wilm, the NHLer, but in the family. What can you tell me about Hunter Wilm?
Yeah, high Regina prospect. He was also on my players to watch list, as I mentioned. Love leadership. Love the captain, a kid that's a captain for good reason. He's physical. He's not big, but he's physical. At 5'7", 140, you're like, how is that kid physical? He's a wrecking ball out there. He'll put up numbers too, but that's his biggest thing is he gets in on the forecheck and he makes things happen. And Cody Mapes loves a kid that crushes kids, and Willem does that. So there you go.
Yeah, he's got the last name to do it. So, good pick by Cody Mapes there and the Weyburn Red Wings. Excited to see him in the future of the SJHL. Moving on, again, a Viterra Division team, the Melville Millionaires. And we've heard from them a few times already today, and they have selected with the 20th pick in this draft, Parker Salisbury from the RM of Nipawin. So a forward there. What can you tell me about Melville's selection here, Nugsy?
Yeah, it's another talented kid. Doug Johnson's really filled his locker here in this draft so far, and yeah, just another good one. He's a rural kid. So he's hardworking. He's going to be gritty, and Doug Johnson likes that.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that is Melville's fourth selection in this first two rounds of this 2009 portion anyways. We're moving on now back. This pick has been traded several times. It originally belonged to the Battlefords North Stars. It then went to the Notre Dame Hounds. And it's now with the Humboldt Broncos. So the Humboldt Broncos have selected, with the 21st overall selection, Jake Evans of Saskatoon. Nugsy, what can you tell me about Jake Evans?
Yeah, really talented kid. Lethbridge Hurricanes, fourth rounder. So that tells you something. Pretty physically mature already. Loves to be around that blue paint. Can find that puck in the blue paint, jam it home. He's already 6 foot 155. He's going to go right to the Saskatoon Contacts. Had a great year for the Generals. No, he's not related to the Jake Evans on the Montreal Canadiens.
I was going to say. What a coincidence.
I do know that Jake Evans a little bit, though, from back in my Ontario Junior Hockey League.
Humble brag.
Humble brag. But anyway, that being said, it's a stab for the Broncos, but again, he's going to play for the Contacts. He's a Saskatoon kid. Scott Barney loves his Saskatoon kids because Humboldt's not that far away. And obviously, Barney and his company does a great job there at Humboldt as well. So it all works together to take a bit of a shot at a kid like Jake Evans.
There you go. Congratulations, Jake. Moving on, the Nipawin Hawks are back on the clock for the 22nd overall selection, and they have picked Cade Mitchell from Gull Lake. Cade Mitchell, Nugsy.
Yeah, so Gull Lake, obviously
the first goaltender off the board.
in the bottom there of the province, former Battlefords North Stars captain Cody Spagrud from Gull Lake. He's going to play for Swift Current next year, and Swift Current obviously had Bernie Weston last year in net, who could jump in and be a piece for either the Swift Current Broncos or for the Weyburn Red Wings. I guess we'll have to see. So he's got some big shoes to fill. He's a bit of a bigger kid than Bernie Weston. So he's going to go play for the Moose Jaw. First party by the Swift Current Legionnaires, as I said, and he's a Moose Jaw Warriors prospect as well. They got a bunch of goalies in that Moose Jaw Warriors WHL system, so it's an interesting pick to try to get a kid that maybe will come to you and just because of the opportunity. So
for sure,
an interesting situation there, an interesting pick.
The Melfort Mustangs now are on the clock for the 23rd overall pick, and they have selected from Saskatoon Nash Coquette. Is it Coquette? Coquette? Nugsy, go ahead.
Yeah, he's another Moose Jaw 11th round prospect, another Contacts kid. He's got decent size to him. He's relatively physically mature, 5'9", 5'10", sort of 165 around there. He's got great hands. Had good opportunity for the Saskatoon Outlaws this past year too. So he's got some polish to his game, and so it's a nice little pick. And again, a kind of kid that I think is a couple of years away from really contributing even at the SJ level, but he's got certainly the package to be a top 6 forward in our league.
I will just give one more mention to our social media viewers here today. We have a big number on YouTube watching. Thank you so much for checking in. Obviously, our draft show every year has a very unique reach in terms of who we're doing the show for. It's a lot of parents of new players, a lot of parents of players already in the league. But make sure you do hit that subscribe button if you don't mind, if you haven't already. We want to get those numbers up over on our YouTube channel. Hit that share button if you're watching on Facebook. Hit that like button. Send us comments. We will put your comments up on the screen throughout the show if we have some time, and we will have time later. So make sure you do that. We want to hear from you. Let us know where you're watching from today. If you're watching from somewhere in Saskatchewan or outside of the province, we'd love to hear from you. So let us know that as well. And please, again, hit that share button if you don't mind. We got some people watching from Davidson, Melfort. We got somebody watching from Winnipeg. So they're all over the place. We want to hear from you. Let us know where you're watching from. Let's move on, though, with the final selection in the 2009 portion, and then we're done with the 2009s for now. The Flin Flon Bombers are back on the clock, and they have selected Carter Schmidt out of Regina. What can you tell me about Carter?
Yeah, he's some U18 AA experience with the Regina Capitals. Has practiced with them as well, but he's a Regina Aces kid. So again, plenty of opportunity, for him at the U15 level. Plenty of ice time. He's certainly a project a bit away, but he's 5'9", 150-ish, so he's got some decent size to him. There is a history of Regina kids, coming to the Flin Flon Bombers, and Mike Reagan and his staff, Stan Clausen, they pay close attention to the provincial capital, and Schmidt's another one for them. So there you go. That's
fantastic. Now that has concluded the 2009 portion of this draft. So congratulations to all 24 that have been selected. And again, if you haven't heard your name, there's next year too for you, 2009. So you guys just hang tight. If you didn't hear your name today, that's not the end of the world. But congrats to all the 24 who have heard their name. Nugsy, I think we will take a break right now. So if you guys don't mind, again, while you're waiting, please hit that share button, throw in those comments, and we will be right back with the 2008 portion of this 2024 SJHL Draft.
It's the 2023 model clearout at Capital GMC. Drum roll, please. 0% financing is back. For a limited time, finance rates are as low as 0% on select new 2023 GMC Sierras. CapitalGMC.ca.
Connecting with customers can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. At Direct West, we have the marketing tools and expertise to help introduce your business to the masses and help it grow. Connect with more customers. Direct West.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Enjoying what's around you. That's what it's all about. Farm to table, in season, locally foraged, look out the window and that's exactly what you'll see on your plate. It's the kind of experience that you'll compare everything else to for years to come. And it's so close, you can almost taste it. Indulge in our unlimited lakes and parkland. Saskatchewan.
Today, online bullying is more common than ever, but there is help. SaskTel wants to solve this problem. It's why they created Be Kind Online. If you're a victim of online bullying or know someone who is, or even if you just want to stop it from happening to anyone, this is a place to learn what you can do. You can find lots of tools and tips to help you stand up to cyberbullying. Be Kind Online is a place to learn how to stay safe as well, to learn best practices and plans to stop cyberbullying before it even has a chance.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
All right, welcome back to the 2024 SJHL Draft. We have concluded the first 2 rounds, which are the 2009 birth class. We are moving on now, and although this is technically the 3rd round that we're broadcasting today, it's the 1st round of the 2008 draft of this year's draft. Does that make any sense? I think it does. So we will be referring to this as the 1st round. Just from here on, this is the 1st round. We're just going with that, okay? So before we get to that, I would like to point out some viewer comments. So Director Jordan in the back, if you can just throw some of these up as I go here. Lawrence Gardipi is watching from Duck Lake, Saskatchewan, over on YouTube. Lori Graham is watching from Mississauga, Ontario. Welcome, Lori. Nathan's watching from North Battleford. My good friend, Leanne Madsen. Leanne, hello, welcome. She's watching from Estevan. She's one of the biggest fans. If you go to an Estevan Bruins game, she's in the lobby saying hi to everybody. That's Leanne. Kellen Enslev, I know he's watching from Regina. He says second-generation bomber Carter Schmidt, so there you go. Jackson Cedar was watching from Winnipeg. And then over on Facebook, apparently JJ Delorme is watching from China. I don't know about that one. We might have to fact check that one.
Could be.
But here, you know,
Never say never.
Who am I to judge? Aaron Nygaard's watching from Melfort. Patricia is tuning in from Pleasantdale. Chris Folden from Maidstone. And Kevin Radloff, who I'm pretty sure is Finley's dad. Kevin is the dad. He's watching from work. So I won't tell your boss, Kevin. You're safe with me. I won't be telling your boss.
Finley should have a huge year for Nipawin next year.
Yes, Finley's going to be.
Player.
Oh, talk about an early SGU MVP candidate.
Can I make a point quickly? Actually, it's good that that the Radloff name came up.
Yes.
There's a bunch of kids that you're like, oh, why isn't this kid? He's a top kid getting picked. Another reason, as I mentioned, is that there are 08s and 09s who are auto protected. So if you're from Nipawin, say, you don't need to be drafted by Nipawin. You're just your property of Nipawin as long as Tad Kozin puts you on his list, essentially. So, so Finley Radloff is a kid who's from Larange, but he lives in Nipawin. He's lived in Nipawin for a while. So he's a Nipawin auto protector. He didn't get drafted, and he was just in the backyard of Tad Kozin, and now he's going to be a stud. So
a name that might pop out for some people who are like, how come Boston Tate didn't get drafted? Well, Boston Tate's from Estevan, so he's an auto protect for the Estevan Bruins. So there's an example. There's a direct example. Let's move on because the picks are flying. We're a little behind, so let's get going with the first overall selection now. I'm calling it the first overall selection in this 2008 portion, of course. The Battleford's North Stars have selected Easton Wojciech from Martinsville. Easton Wojciech, Nugsy, what can you tell me?
Yeah, I played in that U16 league or U15 AA league or whatever with Martinsville Marauders. We're going to see a lot of those kids in this draft. I think he had a great year, 28 goals in 27 games. I watched a lot of video on him.
That's good math. That's a goal a game.
Yeah, he gets good math. He can score. Around the net, he's got quick hands. Braden Klomonsko loves his IQ. Offensive instincts are through the roof for this kid. 17 points in 6 games in the playoffs. Dominated man amongst boys in the playoffs. So, you know, he'll be a great piece for the Warman AAA Wildcats next year, and again, they'll keep a close eye on him.
Congratulations. First overall pick in this draft, Easton Wojciech. Now, I mentioned 1 second ago that Lawrence Gardipi is watching from Duck Lake, Saskatchewan. And guess what, Lawrence? Buckle up, because the second overall pick, you might know this person, but I'm not going to go to it first because we have to go to Rory McGouran first to hear about the Larange Ice Wolves. So let's go to Rory to hear about the Larange Ice Wolves in their preview here.
The Larange Ice Wolves, after missing the postseason this past year, the first time since 2019, are looking for that next one up in their prospect pool. Might it be Brody Skopik or Sam Rousseau, round 2 picks from 2022, or Logan Mayle, a round 2 pick from last year in 2023? After not having a first-round pick in the older age category of both 2022 and 2023 SJHL drafts, the Larange Ice Wolves will be back in the first round, selecting second overall, of course, unless traded. Impact players, though, have come in the first round and in the first overall selection for the Ice Wolves, probably none bigger than former #1 overall pick Mason Buchert, who came back to Larange and has since been one of the most dominating players in the SJHL, leading the Ice Wolves in points and winning the most sportsmanlike player of the year. Mason Buchert still has one more year of eligibility, coming back this year as a 20-year-old.
So if you didn't get my teaser earlier, the selection now for the second overall pick by the Larange Ice Wolves is Waylon Gardapi of Duck Lake, forward. Nugsy, what can you tell me about Waylon?
Yeah, Battleford Stars, AAA last year as a young guy, 28 points in 44 games. As a 15-year-old, it's not bad at all for a Battleford Star team that, again, had a hard time putting pucks in the net. So he's a kid that, I know Kevin Kaminski's really excited about. Knows the kid, has been in touch. I know Larange and Battlefords are far away from each other, but, Gardapi is a guy that, again, Kevin Kaminski's going to be looking to bring in an AP at times this year, too. Coming up, he's going to play for Battlefords AAA again. But really exciting, really produced right away. You don't see that many 15-year-olds produce like that on teams that have struggled a little bit. So big time kudos to Waylon and for the Larange Ice Wolves.
There we go. Now, I just got word from our good friend Matthew Barrett, former voice of the Melfort Mustangs.
Who?
Yes, Matthew Barrett, the one and only. And he says, how does one acquire one of these sweet SJHL sweaters? Me and Nugsy are both rocking these SJHL sweaters. I couldn't tell you. Kyle gave them to us, Commissioner Kyle, and they're nice and warm.
He likes you more than he likes either of us.
That's
so
true.
There's a good chance, Matty B, that he'll give you one.
Matty B, he talks about you a lot, in a good way. Now, I will say...
Of course, Matty's the voice of Kyle McIntyre's beloved Swift Current Broncos.
So there's some home bias there.
There you go.
I will say, if you're in a studio with some hot lights, these sweaters are warm, and it's June. So that's all I'm going to say about these sweaters. But at the end of the day, it was a fashion decision that both Nugsy and I decided on, and we're going to live with it. So let's move on now. There's more important things than me and Nugsy here. The third overall selection, the Yorkton Terriers have made their pick, and it is going to be from Saskatoon, Austin Root. Austin Root, congratulations. Well, Nugsy, what can you tell me?
Yeah, teammate with Wojciech there on the Martinsville Marauders. Was he the best defenseman in that league this past year? Root, there's certainly an argument to be made. 36 points in 26 games as a defenseman for Root, so he's a skilled offensive kid. Again, not far from jumping in. So, a skilled offensive kid that Yorkton can look forward to and know that he's coming off a championship pedigree. So there's that.
There you go. Let's move right along. The Nipawin Hawks have made their selection for the fourth overall pick in this 2008 portion. It's Jeremy Warrens. Jeremy Warrens from Saskatoon. He's a forward, Nugsy. What can you tell me about Jeremy?
Yeah, the Saskatoon River Kings, as I said, they seem to win that U18 AA league a lot.
They're good.
They're good. Jeremy Warren's going to go to the Blazers, 21 goals in 33 games this past year. He's got a bullet of a shot. This kid has a SJ-ready shot right now. The other parts of the game he's still got to work on, but he can shoot it. He needs to work on his skating. Great hands, though. As he said, he could put the puck in the net, over 20 goals for him. And the Saskatoon Blazers rarely, sign slouches. So Warren's good pickup
there
right
you
there.
go.
Yep.
Our next pick, we have a little bit of fun here planned for you guys. The Kindersley Clippers made their selection, and they have selected from Flaxcomb, Tristan Mitchell McElhone. And we actually have a special little interview with our good friend Rory McGouran to introduce you to Tristan. So here we go. Here's Rory and Tristan.
Rory McGouran, joined by 2008 birth year SJHL prospect Tristan Mitchell McElhone. Tristan, thanks for taking the time. How are things going over there?
Pretty good. And yourself?
Yeah, really, really good. It's an exciting time across the province. 2024 SJHL Draft. First of all, just want to toss up to you, what will it mean to you, your family, to hear your name called by one of the 12 SJHL teams here in the 2024 draft?
It would be an honor to be drafted by any of these 12 teams. It would be really great for my development in my hockey career.
A rookie this past season in U18 AAA, basically your first full season of U18 AAA. And talking about your development, right? It looked like an incredible season as a rookie, 33 points, in 40 some odd games. Just how do you feel that first season of U18 AAA hockey went for yourself?
I thought the first season was amazing. Like, I didn't think I was going to have the points I did, but I was training hard, putting in the work to achieve my goals.
And describing yourself kind of as a player, you're, going to get picked by one of these teams, potentially, a long and prosperous career in the SJHL. What can fans, what can coaches, what can teammates kind of expect from you on the ice from a day-to-day basis?
One of them, big hits. I'm a heavy player, 200-foot player, not afraid to get in the corners. Score some goals here and there.
I love it. And, obviously still young, right? Born in 2008. The development, the work, it's just getting started. If, are there some key areas to the game that you're still trying to, put your head forward and work towards to be that total complete junior hockey player come in a couple of years?
Yeah. One thing I would like to work on is like short area passes, like give it and go, get to the net, stuff like that.
Off-season work, what's kind of the main goal? Obviously, a young player, is it to get bigger? Is it to get stronger? Is it to get faster? Is it all the above? Already an incredible rookie season, but you want to try to build on that as you work throughout U18 AAA.
Yeah, I've been going to the gym 6-7 days a week. I have a trainer, Jen Chester. I've been putting a lot of work in, working on my stride, getting faster, stronger, stuff like that.
Well, man, I really appreciate the time. Obviously, the SJHL, lucky to have you when you do make the step up to Junior A. Best of luck in Swift Current for the rest of your U18 career, and we'll see you in the SJ.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, there you go. You now know Tristan Mitchell McElhone. I'm hoping I'm saying that last name correctly, but I think I am. This next selection, obviously, we're going from Nugesy's watch list. Tristan was on that one. This next selection was also on Nugesy's watch list. This next selection has also been traded 4 times. It was originally the Estevan Bruins. They've traded it to Melfort, who traded it to Melville, who traded it to Flin Flon. So Flin Flon has actually made this selection. And we're going this time to product of Scout Lake, Saskatchewan, Wade Franks. Again, a Nugesy's watch list player. Nugesy, what can you tell me about Wade Franks?
Yeah, probably the best D-man that's going to be picked in this draft. And, obviously Mike Reagan can attract top talent up to Flin Flon. So, there's that. Wade Franks, he's an Everett prospect too. They're really high on him. He had a wonderful year. I watched him a lot with the Moose Jaw U18 AAAs. I liked watching that team a lot, by the way. Really like the way Trevor Weisgarber has his team playing. Wade, played a big role on that team as a 15-year-old. He had 11 points in 38 games. Already played 2 games as well. Probably not 2 games, but he's a guy that's solid 2A D-man, does little things right. I know a lot of people are big fans of his, so it's a bit of a shot by Mike Reagan to pick this kid and bring him into his system. But as I said, Mike Reagan can attract that kind of talent, and Wade's a high-level talent kid.
Mike Reagan is good at his job, is what I'm hearing,
Yes.
and I agree with you. He's very good at his job. Yeah. We're moving on now to the 7th overall selection in this portion of the draft. This one's owned by the Weyburn Red Wings, and this is going to be Fox Valley's Tyler Hudek. Tyler Hudek from Fox Valley. Nugesy.
Yeah, Moose Jaw U18 committed, Swift Current Broncos U18 AA kid, 18 points in 34 games as a D-man. He's a kid that has some more physical growth to go, but a kid that's not that far off, and he's going to be not that far down the road. For Cody Mapes to keep an eye on. I know he keeps an eye on a lot of the AAA league and likes to try different kids out, so another option for him.
We have a viewer comment I'd like to just quickly point out, and this one's from the great city of Fort McMurray, Alberta. Matthew Decker is tuning in, and he says, keep up the great work in promoting the league and their players. No Junior A league does it quite like you guys. Appreciate that, Matthew. It means a lot. Matthew, of course, started in the SJHL with the Yorkton Terriers, and now he's on to Fort McMurray. So thanks for tuning in, Matthew. Appreciate that. Let's move on now. We're going to the 8th pick in this 2008 portion. It's owned now by the Kindersley Clippers. It was originally a Melville Millionaires draft pick, got traded to Kindersley, and this is Kenniston's Cash Ringdahl. Cash Ringdahl, a forward from Kenniston. What can you tell me about Cash? other than he has a great name.
Yeah, he sees the ice really well. He's got great hockey sense. I think that's the last thing to really develop is sort of positional awareness. Another Saskatoon River Kings kid. He was, fourth in that league in scoring with 49 points in 33 games.
Wow.
Another kid that's going from the River Kings to the Saskatoon Blazers. They clearly have a little bit of a pipeline there. Again, also not that far from Kindersley. So, again, a guy that can come in, not too distant future. I know, McLean Jardine doesn't mind trusting young guys. Obviously, Brock Evans, lots of opportunity up the lineup. So another kid, Saskatoon Blazers, 30 assists. He's got lots of offensive ability to Ringdahl. So he's a guy I think we should pay attention to name-wise in the SJ not too distant future.
Yeah, well, he's got a great name. So I would say that his name is Money.
Yeah, there's a ring to it.
There you go. We got two. We got both angles now, first and last name puns.
I just want to mention somebody
Kelly,
commented,
you better give me a better than 3 out of 10 on that pun.
Somebody in the YouTube channel mentioned why wasn't Cameron Allard picked.
Oh, yes.
And obviously, he's a great player. Brandon Wheat Kings love him. Also, he's from Yorkton, so he doesn't need
He's
to
an
be
auto protect.
He's auto protect.
There you go. There you go. We are, yes, that's the one right there. Let's move on now. This is the 9th overall selection, and the L'Orange Ice Wolves have acquired this pick from Battlefords. And this is going to be Charlie K from Saskatoon. And was he a watch list guy? He was a watch list guy. He's a forward from Saskatoon. What can you tell me about Charlie?
Yeah, he led the AA U18 league in scoring. Another Saskatoon River King kid. Got decent size to him already. 55 points in 33 games. He's going to the Saskatoon Contacts. Going to get an opportunity. He can score. He's a leader. He's mature. He's really ready to be an impact player at the AAA U18 level. So keep an eye on him as well. And, again, the sky's the limit for him. I watched him on video a bunch. A big fan of what I saw, both in terms of habits and in terms of offensive ability. He's pretty ready for AAA hockey, and I think he'll be good.
Pretty ready, you say. The 10th overall selection in this first round is owned by the Humboldt Broncos, and they have selected Reed Wasserman from Saskatoon. Congratulations, Reed. What can you tell me?
Yeah, another Saskatoon kid, another Saskatoon River King kid, a goalie as well. He's got good size. He stops pucks. He had a good year. He went 15-0-1.
That's pretty good. It's a pretty good win percentage.
Not bad.
Is
273
he
goals
related
against.
to Jacob Wasserman?
I don't know, so I don't want to just
Tall
say.
goalie from that area?
From that area. I don't know. I know there are a lot of people who are family members watching, so I apologize for not knowing that. But I can tell you he's talented. He's a big goalie, and he did not lose a game in regulation this year. So there you go.
Well, there you go. I'll Google the Wasserman family situation, and we'll get to that.
That would be nice.
We'll
Obviously,
come back
Jacob
to that.
Wasserman,
a Humboldt Bronco. Yeah, of course, that'd be a great storyline there. Let's move on to the 11th overall selection, and of course, this is it's now owned by Melville. They have a couple picks in a row here. The Melville Millionaires with the 11th pick have picked Jack LaValle from Saskatoon. Jack LaValle, defenseman. What can you tell me, Nugsy?
Yeah, he's another Saskatoon Blades prospect, but he played AAA for the Warman Wildcats this past year. Doug Johnson's getting a pretty mature kid, steady Eddie, makes the first pass. Isn't going to provide a lot of offense right away. I don't know. Only had a single goal last year, but again, mature, good head on his shoulders, makes a good first pass, keeps the game simple, fits well into Doug Johnson's system, and Doug is going to be paying attention. Again, a very mature kid. Sometimes I talk about kids very brightly, but they might be further away. This kid, he's mature and he's steady and he's not that far away. So there's a pick for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And sticking with the Melville Millionaires, let's go right to it. And this guy, I think, was also on your watch list. Am I correct in saying that?
You got to tell me who it is.
Carter Wingert from Prince Albert. Was he on your watch list? I think
he was. Yeah, 6'3". Boy, are they producing some kids at the Prairie Hockey Academy in Caronport. CSSHL. Haven't seen, I don't know if any CSSHL kids really been picked so far, but I guess he's the first one. So big boy, 30 points in 32 games for the PHA U17s, who, again, a really good program. He played a little bit of U18s as well. But power forward, 6'3", hard to argue with that already at his age. Just going to keep growing and getting more mature and strong. But he's got some skill, he's got some hands. And well-trained there in Caronport. The U18s for the PHA team was really old, like really veteran. So it's not too much of a knock on him that he wasn't on the U18 team because he's young, but he was really good.
There you go. And that completes the first round of this 2008 portion. Just for broadcast sake, we will be fully broadcasting the second round coming up here. And we'll just touch on some of the picks that have been made after that. But guys in the back, don't worry, we're not going to go too crazy. We're just going to talk about some of the names here on the broadcast. But let's get to the second round now, as the picks are flying, as I mentioned. Then the Weyburn Red Wings acquired this pick from the Notre Dame Hounds. Shocker, the Notre Dame Hounds have traded some of their draft picks. They still have not made a pick yet today, which is fine, because like Nugsy said on Twitter, it's quality, not quantity. But the Weyburn Red Wings own this pick, and they have selected from Shaunavon, Saskatchewan, Mason Fowser.
Yeah, I mean, Shaunavon, also not that far away from Swift Current, which is where he played last year. He's a listed kid on the Swift Current Broncos as well, AAA, but he's big. He's a big boy. He can score. He's a kid that might be a WHL kid. Maybe he'll fit with the Weyburn Red Wings. It's a bit of a shot. But 27 points in 43 games for the Legionnaires this past year. And, a kid, again, that AAA guy that could physically play SJ if Cody Mapes needs him tomorrow. So
there you go. Love to hear that. Yeah. And I'm sure Cody Mapes loves to hear that. Let's move on. The Laurent Ice Wolves are back on the clock, and they have selected from Regina, Dane Mansoy.
Mansui.
Yep, Dane, I'm going to go with that. Dane Mansoy, defenseman from Regina. What can you tell me, Nugsy?
Yeah, I played Vic's U18 AA, which is a really, really good AA program in Regina. 20 points as a D-man. He's going to be a Pat C next year, so he's going to make that jump. But he sees that ice well. Offensive guy, good sense of when to jump in. It's not always about what hands you have and what skill you have. It's making those right decisions of when you jump in, and Mansui's pretty ready for that. So he's going to play for the Pat C's, and they're going to be a good, really, really, really good team. Again, hey, look, if you're in the Regina area, go see the Pats, go see the SJ, obviously.
Yeah.
But go see the Pat Canadians, because they're going to be electric, like Telus Cup maybe type team. So
we're going to go to a couple games next year, Nugsy, you and I.
Yep.
The Norton Terriers, with the 15th overall selection in the 2008 portion here, have selected Carter Stolt from Dundurn. Dundurn Chiefs. I don't know if they're actually. I know their senior team. I'm pretty sure is the Dundurn Chiefs, and I think they use that song as their entrance song or their goal song. But Carter Stolt, what can you tell me?
Yeah, the skilled D-man. He played a bit for the Blazers last year as a call-up from the River Kings, but he's actually committed to the Mintos, so he's making a bit of a switch. Get some ice time. 24 points in 33 games though as a D-man for the new coaching staff there in Prince Albert under Don Smith. I think I'm pronouncing his first name there right. But yeah, offensive defenseman, and yeah, a bit of a project. But again, he's going to get some opportunity there with the Mintos as they maybe retool a little bit. And go from there, obviously. Another River Kings kid. I keep saying their name.
Another River Kings kid. The Nipawin Hawks are on the clock for the 16th overall selection in 2008 portion. And they have selected from Elrose, Saskatchewan, Porter Nickerson, a forward.
Yeah, a little guy. Swift Current Legionnaires really, really love watching this kid. The term that some people use is water bug. Some people like that. But he's a little guy with skill, but he's not afraid, goes to the areas that you want to score goals. Again, didn't produce a lot last year for the AAA Legionnaires as a 15-year-old, 9 points in 37 games. So he's a bit of a project, but be back with Swift Current again next year. And again, that he hopes, and I'm expecting his numbers will go up and up with more opportunity and more experience, but a fun kid to watch.
Yeah, just a question here from a viewer, Terry Massey, a good friend of mine from here in Regina. He says, where's the online list of picks? So if you are wanting to follow along with the picks themselves, you can go to SJHL.ca. There is a banner right on top of the website that says big SJHL Draft banner. Click that, it takes you right to the list. And just to break the fourth wall, they're ahead of us. We're catching up. So there have been lots of picks made, so just go there if you want to check out the entire list and any picks you might have missed if you missed the start of the show. You can check it all out there. And Kelly Lewick, our pun judge, gave me a 7 on my cash pun, and he gave you a 7.5 on the Ringdahl pun.
Kelly.
So Cash Ringdahl getting us some good marks from Kelly, our pun judge. Let's keep moving on here. There it is. Let's keep moving on here. The Kindersley Clippers have the 17th overall selection, and they have picked from Regina, Jackson Dunn. Dunn, the goaltender.
Yeah, a guy that's played a lot. What do you say about goalies, right? Like your brother was a goalie, Clark.
Yes, they're weird.
I didn't mean that. Well, that's me. I'll let you say that. But what I mean is the thing about developing goalies is you want a kid that's played a lot.
Sure.
And Jackson Dunn played 23 games as a 15-year-old in AAA. He was 14-6 for West Rudy's Tisdale Trojans. Should be back there again. He's not the biggest guy. Everybody talks about nowadays goalies being 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". I don't care as long as you stop the puck, and that's Jackson Dunn. He stops the puck.
Tell Cam Herdlick of that. He was the shutout king in the
Exactly.
SJHL just a couple years ago.
915 save percentage for Dunn on the Trojans this past year. He battles and battles and competes. He never quits. So big fan of Jackson Dunn, and I'm sure Clayton Jardine is as well.
Well, there you go. He is now, if he wasn't.
Yeah.
Now, the Estevan Bruins are back on the clock. They had the 18th overall selection in this 2008 portion. From Grasswood, Saskatchewan, they have selected Costin Biliski. Costin Bliss, great hockey name.
Yeah.
Love that name. What can you tell me?
Another Saskatoon River King.
Hey.
We need like a bell whenever a Saskatoon River. Well, there'll be a lot of bells being rung, I guess. He's going to play for the Warman Wildcats next year. 38 points in 33 games for him. More of a 200-foot player. Lots of glitz and glamour and skill coming out of the River Kings, but he's kind of the conscience, the grit and effort and determination, and Jason Tatarnik loves that, obviously, as any coach would. So Biliski is a kid that, again, not too far, can jump in for the Estevan Bruins if they need him, and he'll play well for Courage Bear, who I think is doing an incredible job for Warman, the Wildcats up there. Just a tremendous job year after year. So I love Courage Bear's job up there in Warman, and Biliski will learn well under him.
Just checking in with our Facebook viewers. A lot of Tristan Mitchell McElhone fans on Facebook. We got a lot of family members tuning in saying congrats.
There you go. He was on my watch list.
There you go. Shout out to all the family members from all the players that are tuning in. And make sure if you do see a son or a nephew or whatever it happens, a little brother that does get selected, let us know that you're watching so we can kind of give you a shout out. We love to shout out the family members here as much as we possibly can. We got a lot of great comments coming in, so please do send those in. We're going to keep moving on here. This pick is now the Laurent Ice Wolves, but it started as a Weyburn Red Wings pick. It moved on to the Nipawin Hawks, and now Laurent has it. From Warman, Brendan Jones. Brendan Jones from Warman. Yes, what can you say?
Yeah, so he'll be back at home with the Wildcats after playing for the Marauders U15 AA team. 45 points in 28 games, huge playoffs, well over a point per game in the playoffs there. For Martinsville, he's another talented kid that again Courage Bear is going to get his mitts into and work hard with. So there you go, lots of Martinsville Marauders, 15 AAs, a lot of Saskatoon River Kings kids. Not a big surprise.
Speaking of a Martinsville product, the next selection now owned by the Yorkton Terriers, originally a Melville Millionaires pick, which traded to Humboldt and then moved to Yorkton. Broden Witherspoon of Martinsville. Nugsy, what can you tell me about Broden?
Yeah, he had a huge year. He led the 15 AA Marauders in scoring his hometown team there. 41 goals in 28 games for Broden Witherspoon. That's pretty
really
good.
good.
It's pretty good. Another kid that was called up a couple times by the Warman Wildcats as well. And again, a bit of a project, not the biggest guy in the world. You got to put on some of those LBs, but again, he's only 16 years old. And
young kids.
Young kids. So
young
lots of talent.
Men,
and if you put 41 goals in 28 games, if you put 41 goals in 56 games or whatever in the NHL, that's great. So the fact that he dominated to that degree, 17 points in the playoffs as well.
Wow.
Again, he should be not too far away from being an impact player at the U18 level, and I'm sure the SJ not too far after that.
Congratulations, Broden. That's a great pick. We love to see it. The Battleford North Stars at the 21st overall selection, and they have gone ahead and selected Saskatoon's Troy Shuchuk. Troy Shuchuk, congratulations, a forward from Saskatoon.
Yeah, so again, another sort of defensive first type kid, another River Kings kid. Talked about Belitsky being sort of a mature presence up front for the River Kings. Shuchuk's another one like that. He's going to be a Saskatoon Blazer, so another River Kings to Blazers kid. 7 goals, 13 points in 28 games for him. But you need those kids that are responsible and have that maturity to take care of their own end first, and that's Mr. Shuchuk.
There you go. The Nipawin Hawks had the 22nd overall selection, originally owned by the Humboldt Broncos, and they have selected Taryn Earhart from Warman. Taryn Earhart, a forward.
Yeah, so the Tisdale Trojans had that line, right, of Ryder Muka, who's going to be a Flin Flon Bomber, I'm sure, next year, and Rechny, and Jackson Carrig, of course, who we saw with the Melford Mustangs. So that line put a lot for the Tisdale Trojans. So Taryn Earhart needed to, pick his spots when he could, but he can really skate. He's got great effort level. Again, he'll be back under Wes Rudy, hoping for a bigger role. And, it's a situation, too, where he does have 4 goals and 5 points in the AAA league. So, again, he's got that to go on. But, Taryn, again, he's got that great work ethic. And I think that's something that'll continue to grow within, Wes Rudy's system there in Tisdale. And so a kid that I can really see making an impact in the SJ not too far from now.
There you go. Love to hear it. The Melfort Mustangs have both traded and reacquired this selection. They originally held it, they traded it to Weyburn, and they have gotten it back. And with it, they have selected Lloydminster's Gavin Folden. Gavin Folden, congratulations. You are now a Melfort Mustangs prospect, Nugsy.
Yeah, so, again, plays Lloydminster Blazers, and, that's obviously Alberta, but could, if he's a resident of the Saskatchewan side, Lloydminster obviously is either side of the border, 17 points in 36 games as a D-man, for him. And so there's that offensive ability right there. And interesting, to see a kid that played Alberta hockey, but he's a Saskatchewan resident, so he fits in and, obviously right up there. So good for him.
And with the final selection of this second round, the Weyburn Red Wings have acquired this selection from the Flin Flon Bombers. And they have selected Elias Hockness from Regina Beach, defenseman here, Nugsy.
Yeah, well, so Wade Franks, in terms of 15-year-olds on that Moose Jaw team, got a good amount of responsibility, but Elias Hockness did as well for the Moose Jaw AAAs, and I expect that to continue to grow. He's a smaller guy. Again, we talked about the positioning. If you're not the bigger D-man, you can get positioning, you can use a good stick, and then you don't have to out-muscle people who are maybe a little bit bigger than you, and that's Elias's game. Didn't put up a huge amount of points for Moose Jaw. Didn't really get the power play time per se, but part of me, he's a kid that's going to continue to grow and get a higher opportunity as he continues to play. And this is a guy that again has that AAA opportunity. So has that high level of experience playing again for Trevor Weisgarber, who does a great job, as I said, in Moose Jaw AAA. So interesting to see both Franks and Hockness from that Moose Jaw back end go, because I really like both of them.
There you go. Now that technically, by our broadcast plan, has concluded our coverage of the draft here in the 2024 draft this season. However, if the guys in the back don't mind, if we can go to the draft recap board and just kind of go all the way to the top, we'll just quickly go over that, and then we'll kind of look at some of the picks that have been made since the second round completed, because we are now technically in the 4th round. The coaches are flying, okay? So let's look at this now. Declan Borthwick was the first overall selection by the Larange Ice Wolves in the 2009 portion. Merrick McIver to Larange as well. Tyson Metternach to Yorkton. Carson Park to Nipawin. Hudson Sayers to Kindersley. Tristan Hansen to Melfort. We had Nathan Gardner go to Melville. And then Melville also selected Huston Postnikov. Miller Anderson to Battleford. Tatum Fouquet to Humboldt. Casey Gleam to the Melville again. Another Melville selection. And Staden Peranto. Those rounded out the first round. As we moved on to the second round, Ethan Young was selected by Weyburn. Jacob Tate went to Humboldt. Lane McKechnie to Yorkton. Matt Hankelman to Nipawin. Graydon Newmeyer to Kindersley. Joshua Skripnik, Jamie said, a pretty solid selection there for Estevan in the second round. Hunter Wilm from Central Butte. Yes, Clark Wilm's nephew, former NHL player Clark Wilm, to the Weyburn Red Wings. Parker Salisbury from Nipawin to Melville. The Melville Millionaires selected him. Jake Evans went to the Humboldt Broncos. Cade Mitchell to Nipawin. Nash Coquette to the Melfort Mustangs. And then to round out the 2009 portion, Carter Schmidt to the Flin Flon Bombers. So that was the 2009 portion. And as we moved on to the 2008 portion, again, there were selections made last year as well in this draft class. So Easton Wojciak went first overall to Battleford's North Stars. Waylon Gardapi to the Larange Ice Wolves. Austin Root to Yorkton. Jeremy Warrens to Nipawin. Tristan Mitchell-McElhone to the Kindersley Clippers. That's a great name, by the way. That's one of those names broadcasters love to say when they score a goal. It comes off the tongue really well. Wade Franks to the Flin Flon Bombers. Tyler Hudick to the Weyburn Red Wings. Cash Ringdahl to Kindersley. Charlie K to Larange. Reed Wasserman to Humboldt. Jack LaValle to Melville, and also to Melville Carter Wingert. And then in the second round, we had Mason Fauser to Weyburn. Dane Mansui to Larange. Carter Stolt to Yorkton. Porter Nickerson to Nipawin. Wow, say that 10. Nickerson to Nipawin. Got to be careful. Jackson Dunn, Kindersley Clippers. Costin Beliski to Estevan. Brendan Jones to Larange. Broden Witherspoon to Yorkton. Troy Suchak to Battlefords. Taryn Earhart to Nipawin. Gavin Folden to Melfort. and Elias Hockness to Weyburn. Now, as we move on, Nugsy, there has been the third round. The third round is done. It's already completed.
The fourth round's almost done.
The fourth round's almost done. But let's look at the third round. And if you want to just maybe go through a couple of the names that you see on this list, we don't have to go through all of them right now, but give me a couple of breakdowns if you don't mind.
Well, I mean, like Maddox Cabarrud had a great year with the Saskatoon Blazers, but it's so interesting because Nipawin also has Corbin Schnurr,
right,
who is an incredible goaltender for Warman in their system. So they're really stocking up goaltenders there in Nipawin, which is extremely interesting. And Dryden Diobald, really mature D-man, played for the Patsies. This past year, really liked him. I like the way that Patsies team played. They were a hard team to play against, and Diobald got some decent opportunity for them. So, those are two interesting pieces. But again, the one that really sticks out to me is Nipawin, though. Lane Kiewski, he was on my players to watch list as well. A really talented D-man, jumps into the rush. He's big, 6'2" also.
Wow.
Needs to have some LBs. I have some for him if he wants. He doesn't want my type of LBs. But 6'2", Parkland Elks, U18 had a great year. Needs to grow into that frame, but great hands for Kiewski. Really like that pick for, I believe it was Yorkton, yeah.
Now, before we go off the air, Nugsy, something that's near and dear to your heart, I just want to I think we have to do this.
What's that?
The Notre Dame Hounds have made a pick. So because of that, let's go to Rory McGouran's Notre Dame Hounds preview, if you don't mind, guys in the back. I'm sorry I'm throwing this at you, but if we can go to Rory McGouran's Notre Dame Hounds preview now, that'd be great.
The Notre Dame Hounds, a bit of an interesting team when you lead into SJHL drafts, normally don't keep a ton of their picks, finding more value with moving them in search for strong character roster players that can help contribute now and also help lead and mold their younger players in their roster. It's a unique situation in a school setting, but it doesn't mean the Notre Dame Hounds haven't found some gold in SJHL drafts in prior years. Hardy Wagner in 2015, Dalen Weigel and Riley Niven in 2018, and most recently Sam Bourgeois in 2020. May goaltender Caden Perron in 2022 be the next one, or forwards Cruz Klapak and Ethan Dundas in 2023 for their next standouts as the Notre Dame Hounds head into the 2024-25 season.
And just so that we can say we used their graphics and that video, Nugsy, I don't know if the guys in the back can whip this up really quick if they haven't already, because I think they're already they're off the clock technically. Wyatt Jordan from Saskatoon, Nugsy, has been selected by the Notre Dame Hounds.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about Wyatt Jordan from Saskatoon?
Yeah, right shot, D-man, Saskatoon River Kings again.
What?
A little bit of more of a depth guy, but obviously great program, so lots of skill ahead of him. They also picked Evan Hutchin from Regina too, but there you go. So a couple players for the Hounds. Obviously, the Hounds did get the likes of Ethan Andrews from L'Orange in that deal that sent L'Orange that pick. They have a couple of players to be named later in trades with Battlefords and Weyburn, as well as PDF and other picks and everything from Humboldt. So the Brett Puckington did get a good amount of things back for all these picks.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple new prospects.
There you go. And guys, if we can just put up the draft one more time and just show the fourth round, if you guys don't mind. The fourth round has completed as we're talking about it. So let's have a look at the fourth round. If you want to follow along with the picks as they currently are going, as you can see on the bottom of our screen right now, it's being updated. The second pick in the fifth round has just been completed. But Nugsy, if you can just maybe look over the fourth round there and see what you can see.
Yeah, so, Luke Norman there being picked by Estevan. You talk about the goaltending situation there down the pipeline in Estevan. Saskatoon Sabercats goalie who had a ridiculous year in U18 AA. Prince George Cougars, in fact, paid close attention to him, and Estevan Bruins jumping on that kind of promise. Big boy, covers all the net. He's going to be a AAA star next year. And then we'll keep the same name there with James Norman, the Meadow Lake kid. He's moving over from the CSSHL, the Indigenous Sports Academy, where people are really high on him. He's going to go to the Warman Wildcats AAA. Big. He's 6'2", 210 pounds already.
Jeez.
James Norman, the Flin Flon Bombers prospect there. Again, so it's a situation there where you go on size and promise, and people really liked him for the ISA team there in the CSSHL U17s. So two Norman boys. Cash Alger East had a great year as well for the AAA. Battleford Stars, 38 points in 43 games was really relied upon for them. I know the Victoria Royals are really high on him as well. So we'll see what happens there with Alger East as Weyburn takes a shot add a kid there. But yeah, lots of interesting pieces there in that 4th round.
Awesome. And as I mentioned, if you want to go ahead and follow the rest of the draft, it's all happening right now. The 5th round is underway. 6 picks have been selected. Oh, Estevan just had their first pass of the draft.
Wow,
so
there you go.
There you go. Things are flying over there. So SJHL.ca, there's a large banner right at the top of the website. You can go follow along live over there as we speak. So thank you so much, I guess, for tuning in here to the show today. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you don't mind, give one more little share, one more little like, or hit the subscribe button before you take off here today. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. Nugsy, thank you so much for all your coverage and insights on these players. Really appreciate that. To the guys in the back here at IKS Media, thank you so much. You guys are top notch, and you always make our jobs a whole lot easier. To Commissioner Kyle and Connor Tate and Jacob Faith and Curtis Stepp, who are in the room over there. You can't see it. It's behind the score clock in this arena, actually. They're way back there. They're conducting the draft live with all the coaches right now. So thank you to them for keeping this smooth and quick. And appreciate, again, all of you guys for tuning in and watching everything here today with us. And until next time, I guess, what's next, Nugsy? We got some stuff coming on in the summer for SJHL coverage.
If you haven't signed up for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony on the 22nd of June in North Battleford, near North Battleford, in fact, not right in North Battleford, but near it, make sure you check that out. And then, we'll be back next year. Should be a lot of fun.
I just got told last night, pretty late last night, from Commissioner Kyle, said, bring your clubs, you're golfing with me in the tournament on the Friday. So I'm going to the golf tournament in Battleford. So I'll see whoever's there. I'll see you there. Apparently I'm golfing with Kyle and Braden Klamosko's dad. So I'm excited about this.
Don't embarrass yourself.
Should be fun. I'm going to embarrass myself.
Okay.
But it'll be good, though. It's worth it. Big shout out once again to UPL, our main sponsor, of course, for this draft and for a lot of our stuff throughout the season, our playoffs, our broadcasts. So thank you to UPL. Nugsy, any final word here before we end the draft show?
Yeah, a lot of fun. Really appreciate the people that helped me out as well, compiling my bit of information. You know who you are, coaches. You guys are always so helpful to me as well. If you're still watching the show. So I really appreciate all of you. And can't wait for more hockey. I'm already missing it. So here we go.
I know. What's happening here? It's crazy that we don't have any hockey. But we will be back, of course, back on the ice in September. The regular season will be back. And we're excited to bring you all the coverage, all the season previews. We'll have some alumni stuff coming up this summer, some alumni articles, interviews, and stuff like that. So keep an eye out for those things. And of course, we'll keep you up to date on all of our social media channels, on our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of them. Yes, all of them. There'll be stuff going all summer to keep you guys up to date with roster changes and anything that happens with these teams. We'll keep you covered, and appreciate all of you once again. And until the season is back, or until we have some sort of summer show for you, we will see you next time. Have a great rest of your summer, everybody.